Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. In this one, I want to talk about the early reactions to episode 9 and episode 10 of this season. I guess some of the media actually got the first two episodes early and they watched them and then they posted their reactions and stuff online. I believe those reviews will be live next week at some point, maybe Monday or Tuesday. So yeah, expect a video on it then. I'll talk about the early reviews then as well, what they thought of the episodes, and maybe there will actually be some clues as to what happens. If there's outright spoilers, obviously I won't cover it at all because I don't like covering spoilers, but if it's vague enough to where it hints at something, then I might talk about it just because it's kind of fun. So of course, before going any further, I do have to warn you for spoilers for the first half of season 10, and I guess some light spoilers from the comic. Should I say light spoilers? The comic's been over for a while. I'll just say it's just spoilers in general for the Whisper War arc. And also, if you're new to the channel and you want more Walking Dead content like this, just make sure to be a subscriber. The show is returning in 17 days. It's coming up super fast. There's going to be a lot more details coming out over the next however long. I believe some people will be able to watch it early, and so there will be a lot of online reaction and all that, and so I will talk about stuff like that. We're getting very close to Michonnes' final episode that's coming up in about 4 or 5 weeks. So yeah, if you want to hear my thoughts and get videos on all that kind of information, maybe consider subscribing. But let's talk about the early reactions. So far from what I'm seeing just online in general, the early reactions are that episode 9 is a very good episode and there's a lot of scary stuff that happens, but episode 10 is the absolutely terrifying episode that's going to make you feel sick. And yeah, apparently that episode is the really good episode of the two, and I think that's probably why they allowed them to watch these two episodes together. That just seems to be the way they've been doing it a lot lately. Like, they won't just let them watch the mid-season premiere because there might be something in there that will resolve in episode 10, and so they want the early reviewers to watch the whole thing to get the point of it, instead of writing maybe a more negative review maybe for episode 9, not seeing how it's going to resolve right away. And then so once you watch the whole thing, you get the full picture, you get what they're doing, and then boom, you can get the full picture in a review, and most of the time it is usually positive, right? Now, obviously, as of now, I don't know if my predictions for the first two episodes were even right. I'll know that in like 2.5 weeks, but based on the early reactions, episode 9 being a very good episode, and then 10 being absolutely just amazing and terrifying and all of that, I do wonder if that has to do with Gabriel's death and the story in Alexandria, just because I don't think we're going to focus on Alexandria that much in the second half. I think we'll get back to it towards the end, but I feel like episode 9, what's going to happen is we're going to see Gamma show up. She's going to talk to Gabriel and Rosita and say, you guys all have to leave Alexandria, because Alpha knew what you guys did, and she could be referencing stuff with the cave and a bunch of other things. I mean, maybe Gamma even tells Gabriel and Rosita right there that Daryl, Carol, all of them are dead. Alpha killed them all in this cave with all of those walkers. They could have that in their head, right? Alpha could go as far as telling Gamma that to really trick the people of Alexandria. And so now Alexandria is just at a point where they're like, well, these people died for us to keep us safe, and now Alpha is forcing us out of this community that Rick built. Like, we all came here, we all made this our home. We're not just going to leave. And I think that's why they stay. They're going to fight back. And then I think that's kind of the cliffhanger probably for episode 9. Again, I think we're going to focus on the cave thing. I think that's going to be the majority of that episode, with the Gamma, Gabriel, and Rosita thing kind of a B plot, but that's basically set up for episode 10. And then in 10, the Whisperers strike out of nowhere. Beta, I mean, I've been hearing a lot of people say this, but apparently they think this scene here with that hand coming out of the graveyard, this to some people is Beta coming out of the grave, which I guess I do like that idea. That would be really interesting, because there was that shot of Beta going underground. I don't know how realistic that could be with like tunneling under Alexandria. Maybe there's a connection with the caves. Maybe there's like, I just don't understand how that could really work. It's possible that Dante did something within the community. I just feel like that's a stretch. I think it'd be cool if it was Beta. That'd just be amazing, like literally zombies rising from the dead. I think that would just be badass. But I think if anything, that's probably that old lady, I think, that died by Dante. I think, well, it depends on who buried her. If Dante was the one to do it, I can't remember. I'd have to go watch the first half again. But if Dante was the one to do it, maybe he didn't bury her 6 feet under. He buried her like 2 or 3 feet under, because he knew that this could happen, and thus we have this amazing visual of this walker coming up from the grave. Beta popping up like this, though, like that, he could just be coming out of the sewers, which would be super amazing. I mean, I think that's exactly how they're going to attack Alexandria. Like, it is kind of silly to think, though, that they don't have that place guarded at all. If that is where Beta is coming from, like, they've used those sewers before with Carl and all of that. How did they not think to protect that? I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens when the episode airs, right? I just really can't wait to see what's going to happen during that Whisperer. I guess I'm calling it the Whisperer invasion of Alexandria. I guess that technically is what it is, right? I just can't wait to see what happens there because we have Beta there. I'm sure he's going to come face to face with Gabriel. And I mean, if what happens in the comic happens to Gabriel here, I can see why some people say that it's going to make you feel sick. Just because in the comic, Gabriel actually gets his stomach cut right open and his intestines are everywhere, just guts everywhere. And it's really, really, it's very, very graphic. And so if everyone's saying that like episode 10 is going to make you feel sick, it's terrifying and all of that, I feel like that just makes sense right there. We're going to see the Whisperers attack Alexandria. It's actually going to be very, very scary. And Gabriel could actually die in that episode, and it's going to be in one of the most graphic ways ever. Depends on how they do it and how they film it. Like if Gabriel's upside down and his stomach gets cut open, I mean, all of his guts and stuff are going to fall over his head. And it could look more gruesome than the Glenn death. Probably not. I think overall it probably won't be. Just because with Glenn, that was, I mean, I can't even think about that. That was just sad. I like the scene overall, but it's just way too sad to think about. Gabriel's death, depending on how they film it, if it's done the same way that they did it in the comic, it's going to be up there with one of the most gruesome deaths ever. And yeah, I can see how after that episode, you're just like, yeah, I don't feel good, you know? I think all of this is going to perfectly set up the battle at the hilltop in episode 11. And that's what I mean. Based off all of these early reactions anyways, it really does seem like my predictions are generally right. Obviously, I don't have any of the big details like in terms of the deaths and all of that stuff, but it seems like my general plot ideas with where our characters are going to be makes a lot of sense. And I think the battle at the hilltop is going to happen in episode 11 because Rosita is there with Eugene. That battle is going to have a lot of emotional weight, because we're coming off of what happens in Alexandria with Gabriel. We're coming off of what happened to them in the cave if someone else dies down there. That's kind of why I think someone else is going to die in that cave, because we need a lot more emotional energy, I guess is what you would say, in this Whisperer fight right now. I know Sadiq just died and that's sad, but Sadiq was never a main character. Though he did kind of become a main character towards his death, he's kind of a newer character. And with Gabriel dying, that's a lot right there. You know, his death is going to be really huge because he's been around since season 5. At this point, I would consider Gabriel an original character. I really would. If Connie dies, like I'm thinking she's going to, I mean, that's going to be very, very sad. In Connie's case, I think it's going to be way more sad because she's extremely likable. Ignore all the Daryl stuff. I'm kind of ignoring it right now anyways. If Daryl and Connie get together, I honestly don't really care. If they do, I'm happy for both of them. If they don't, it's like, okay. I just like Connie so much as a character. She's my favorite out of all those newer characters. Like I like Connie, and then Yumiko, and then Luke, and then Magna and Kelly are kind of the last. I think I like Kelly more than Magna, actually. Weirdly, in the comic, Magna was my favorite, but on the show, really not so much. And so for Connie to die, it's going to be tragic. It's going to be super sad. But again, it gives you all that emotional investment into this Whisper war. And it's going to build a lot going into the battle at the hilltop in episode 11. So yeah, I'm super happy. All of the early reactions seem to be extremely positive. So that's a really, really good sign. Really, for these last 8 episodes, I was worried about the first 2. Just because, again, from episode 11 to 16, it's going to be really nuts. We're going to have the battle at the hilltop, Michonnes exit, Alpha's death. I mean, some Commonwealth stuff, some Whisperer Horde stuff. Maggie's coming back. The princess is going to be there. A lot of stuff to expect within all of those episodes, but 9 and 10, they are kind of unrelated to everything, and it's going to be kind of more generic stuff that we've been seeing. And by generic, I just mean not like huge events, but actually I could be wrong with that. Gabriel's death, this Whisperer invasion, some stuff that might happen in the cave. I mean, each episode might just be really, really good. Also, I came across this while I was on Twitter. I was going to do a separate video on it, but there's kind of no point. The Walking Dead's Twitter posted this mailbag thing in which it said that we'll answer any questions that you have with very, very vague emoticons. And a fan asked, is Michonnes Eggs going to make me cry more happy tears or sad tears? And The Walking Dead answered with sad tears, and then also being, I guess, happy, like, I guess just being really satisfied and like happy for her, I guess, is what you can kind of read into that. So yeah, what does that mean? I mean, that's kind of how I was expecting it anyways. Again, I think if she's going to find out that Rick's alive and she has to leave, we're so sad that she has to leave, but so happy that, you know, for the reason she is leaving. So is that more confirmation, more proof? Maybe, I don't know. You guys can put your thoughts down below. Let me know what you guys think about all of that, and also let me know what you guys think of the early reactions. And if you know any spoilers for the first 2 episodes, just maybe don't post them down below. If you have to talk about them and all of that, then maybe just put like a spoiler warning so people who don't want to see it, like, don't see it. But we're 17 days away. Those early reviews are coming out next week, and I believe people who have AMC Premiere could watch it a week early, I think. Don't quote me on that. I don't know if I'm even right about that. I've just been seeing people in the comments here saying that, like, oh, I get to watch it a week early, so I'm thinking that's why. I guess I could just go look and find out. But post all your thoughts down below. I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. Make sure to be a subscriber for more Walking Dead content like this, and thanks for watching.